In the book of Jeremiah, God tells the prophet, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I consecrated you. I have appointed you as a prophet to the nations." Welcome to Freedom Alive. We're grateful the U.S. Supreme Court has now overturned the horrible Roe and Casey abortion decisions, but the work has just begun. For decades, pro-abortionists have told countless lies to justify the killing of precious unborn children. But with today's technology, it's clear to see that God has created each of us from the moment of conception, and He creates each person for a wonderful purpose. Matt, the abortion advocates often make statements like it's only a blob of tissue. It's not really a baby. It's not human. And sometimes they even argue this right up until birth. So much education must take place.
I was on a radio interview the other day, and some caller called in and was taking the pro-abortion perspective, and I asked, have you ever witnessed an abortion or the aftermath of abortion? And this caller did not want to answer the question. I said, just answer me yes or no. Have you ever witnessed an abortion or the aftermath of an abortion? And obviously this person did not. When you see the evidence of an aftermath of abortion, but particularly when you see the development of the child without abortion, just from the moment of conception up until through the third trimester up till birth, it's a miracle.
Unbelievable.
And that's what ultimately hit me back in 1983, is when I saw a documentary, and part of that documentary was the historic Life magazine photos of babies in the womb from very early conception and development. And obviously, they're just like you and me, with fingers and toes and fingernails and eyelashes at a very, very young gestational age. Mm-hmm. And it's an incredible process where God creates this human being from the moment of conception.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait to talk about it. We're also going to talk about fireworks and light, right?
What's amazing is new technology has discovered that with the absolute moment of conception, when the sperm and the egg meet, there is a fireworks that takes place. There's a flash of light that occurs, and we're going to talk about that during our program.
Oh, yeah. So much to talk about. We're delighted to bring this truth and facts to you and your family about perhaps really the issue of our day. But up next is our Freedom Alert.
Appeals Court protects unborn life in Georgia. I'm Matt Staver, co-host of Freedom Alive. The 11th Circuit Court of Appeals ruled unanimously that a Georgia law banning abortions when a fetal heartbeat is detectable will now take effect. In 2019, Georgia enacted the Living Infants Fairness and Equality Act. This prohibits abortions after a fetal heartbeat is detectable in the womb, which is as early as 6 weeks of pregnancy. The law also defines the word person to include an unborn child. But a federal judge previously blocked it. But now that the Supreme Court has overturned the Roe and Casey abortion decisions, the appeals court ruled the abortion ban must go into effect. The beating heart of an unborn child should be an awakening to us regarding the violence of abortion. We must make the womb a safe place once again.
Let's tee this up for those at home. We want to cut through all the misconception, all the confusion, all of the anger by focusing on the miracle of life and how God works to create each of us. So with that, let's get right into it. Let's start with something that may be new to many of those at home. A 1965 Life magazine cover article, I think the title of it was called The Miracle of Life, right?
Yeah.
Can you speak to that?
You know, back then in 1965, there were only a few magazines, not like you see in the counters now where there's many magazines. So Life was one of the major magazines, and many of you may remember that. It was a large magazine in size, but it was a nationally distributed magazine. April of 1965, they had a special edition, and on the front cover, this is the photograph of the 1965 Life magazine, interestingly, called The Miracle of Life. And here is this incredible photograph. And back then, this entire edition was dedicated to the moment of conception all the way up through the late second, early third trimester with some of the most advanced technology at the time. Some of it was in vitro flash photography. So by the time you get to 1973, Roe versus Wade, they knew when life began. It was very, very clear because they knew it from the Life magazine, they knew it from the science and history books.
And that's a critical point, because it's never been a clump of cells. It's never been all of that, you know, whatever pro-abortionists would tee it up as for us to believe. It's never been that.
Well, let's begin with the actual moment of conception. The Life magazine actually has the sperm and the egg combining, but they didn't have the technology back then. But now we have this incredible technology. At the moment of conception, when the sperm and the egg meet, there's literally a flash of light. There's that creative energy that God creates life at that moment. And you can just imagine that has happened throughout millennia of history, and that happens for every single person who's
fireworks,
conceived.
right?
It's fireworks.
And it's zinc, I believe, is actually what's happening, right?
And this is absolutely new discovery.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. From that moment of conception, there is a spark of light that actually takes place.
Literally a spark of light. How amazing is God?
But the miracle of life just continues, because when you look at 4 weeks, the embryo is what it's called. Vital organs are already forming. The signs of the brain and the beginning of the spine are becoming evident. And now what you have at 7 weeks, this is part of the Life magazine photography. This is some of that and other photography as well that is done. This is 7 weeks. Now, 7 weeks, the heart's already beating. It actually begins beating at 5 to 6 weeks. So that's even before you know you're pregnant, typically, because you've just missed your first menstrual cycle. 5 to 6 weeks, the heart begins to beat. This is 7 weeks. Look at the incredible intricacy here. The eyes, the fingers, the toes. Notice the rib cage here, and then we have a blown up picture of the hands, and the little fingers are there, and the mouth, Steve, where the baby would be sucking his or her thumb in the womb.
At 7 weeks.
At 7 weeks. Here's another picture. This is 7 weeks, and this is the face of a 7-week-old baby. You can begin to see the clarity, and here you can also see the fingernails on each one of these little precious fingers, as this 7-week-old baby, only 56 days post-conception, when that flash of light occurred, is now sucking the thumb. It's an incredible existence that goes on without our knowledge, and this happens all the time, the incredible miracle of life. And understand, this was known back in April of 1965. And with the Life magazine Miracle of Life special edition, this was spread around the United States. So by the time that Roe versus Wade was decided on January 22, 1973, and they said, we don't need to decide when life begins, and if we did, their decision could be different. They knew when life began, and it begins at the moment of conception.
What do you think beyond that was missed or ignored at Roe v. Wade in '73, given this whole backdrop and the fact that it was completely evident?
Well, they intentionally lied. Roe v. Wade was a lie from the beginning. She did not have an abortion. Jane Roe, Norma McCorvey is her real name. She did not have an abortion. She did not know she was being used as a pawn. And the justices that wrote that 7-2 decision, they just invented it out of thin air. And you know, if you're a eugenicist and life doesn't mean anything to you, and it's not made in the image of God, and you are a eugenicist like Margaret Sanger of Planned Parenthood, and you just want to eliminate human life, well, then they just eliminated human life, and that's what they did with Roe v. Wade. This next incredible picture here is 8 weeks, but here you have the little baby, 8 weeks now, and you see the toes, you see the legs, you see the eyes, you see the rib cage, all there. Many of these abortions are occurring at the 8 to 10 week time frame, and that little baby would be sucked up in a high-powered suction tube, like a high-powered vacuum cleaner, literally sucked piece by piece into this, and their bodies are reassembled to make sure that the entire fetal tissue is removed. Here, the next one, Steve, is an 11-week-old. Look at the incredible clarity of the toes of this little baby's feet. You know, the case that went to the United States Supreme Court was a law that banned abortion after 15 weeks. Well, here's what a 12-week-old looks like. Look at the intricacy of this hand.
It looks like it could be your hand or my hand right now, honestly.
And you see the blood vessels. I don't know if you can see that on your screen, but I can see it here. Blood vessels in the hand, just like you have blood vessels in your hand here. That's 12 weeks. The next one is also 12 weeks. That law that went to the United States Supreme Court banned abortion after 15 weeks. This is a 12-week-old, and you see complete clarity of this little baby in the womb. Here's another 12-week-old baby. This is incredible. Encased by the mother's amniotic sac. Here you have the eyelids, the ears, you have the umbilical cord, you have the clarity of the hands and the nose, the feet and everything. You can see how the umbilical cord is wrapped around part of that little baby's leg, and they're moving around inside of your body. That's 12 weeks. And here's a 14-week-old baby as we continue going through this miracle of life. 14 weeks. Again, this baby, under that law that was passed, that went up to the United States Supreme Court out of Mississippi, that resulted in overturning Roe v. Wade. This little baby could still be aborted in that situation. And in fact, Roe v. Wade allowed abortion through all 9 months until the very moment where you actually came out of the womb and took your first breath.
Well, in fact, I think when you talk to many of the pregnancy center directors and look at the numbers, the 15-week legislation, I think it's something like 94% of abortions take place in that first 15-week period.
Weeks, that's
so
right.
Only 6% take place after 15 weeks. So this critical juncture of time that you're talking about right here.
I mean, this is incredible. A 14-week-old baby. Here's another 14-week-old baby picture here. You know, I don't know how you can look at these things and still say that these little babies don't deserve to live. But the tragedy is that these little babies in the tens and tens of millions have been brutally dismembered and slaughtered through abortion since 1973. Even though the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, Steve, the battle now really begins because there's members in Congress and there's people at the state level that want to continue this prenatal genocide. And that's really what it is, prenatal genocide.
Even more aggressive than Roe v. Wade.
Even more aggressive than Roe v. Wade.
I mean,
even to the point of infanticide, having the right to kill a child after the child is born outside the womb. This little baby is incredible. 14 weeks. Look at the eyelashes that are formed at 14 weeks and the eyebrows that are formed at 14 weeks. This little baby already has hair that's developing. 14 weeks. Yeah. I mean, this is just hard to even comment about how incredible it is because, you know, when you see a baby that's born, they have these adorable little faces and people, you know, say wonderful things about them. That's the same kind of face that you see here in this 14. This is 14 weeks post-conception.
That is exactly what I was going to say. Is as a parent, a father, or a grandfather, when you get to hold your child and be there for their birth and hold your grandchild, this picture at 14 weeks could literally be a 9 or 10 month.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like my child or my grandchild that I've
and those babies are aborted.
Yeah.
And they're still being, frankly, aborted in some states today.
Mm-hmm.
This next slide is a 24-week-old baby. And the next slide are twins in the womb. This is part of that incredible documentary that I was telling you about. It doesn't come from that documentary, but it's about these twins that are in the womb already developing their different personalities. Whether one's going to be passive, one's going to be aggressive. And they do that inside the womb. They don't just all of a sudden develop those personalities outside the womb. Where are they created? It's at the moment of conception, that flash of light, where their eye color, their hair color, whether they're going to be passive aggressive.
Their personalities
are created as a very unique, one-of-a-kind individual. Never before, never since in history. This is a 20-week-old baby. And you can see, again, the eyebrows, incredible definition. Look at the thumbnail on this little baby's thumb. This little child forming in the womb. And this next photograph we want to show you, I want to say this is not an abortion. This is an actual surgery. This is a surgery of a little baby called baby Samuel. Baby Samuel had some spinal bifida issues, and so this surgeon did in utero surgery on this little baby. This little baby is 21 weeks post-conception. So the doctor has two patients at this point, the patient being the mother, who has to be obviously the attention of the doctor and those around, and the other baby that's in the womb is the second patient. There's two patients here. And this doctor now is going into the uterus, and he's performing surgery in the uterus on baby Samuel at 21 weeks post-gestation. This actually continues to happen today, and the technology is even much more advanced than what this was back when baby Samuel was part of this surgical procedure. But what happened in this situation is there's a photographer that, before this photography was taken, was in favor of abortion. But when this event happened, it shook his world, and he changed and is now pro-life. He took this iconic photo. And what is this iconic photo? This is the woman's uterus, and you can see the incision where the doctor had gone in to do surgery on this little 21-week-old post-gestation baby. And that's the surgeon's hand, and little baby Samuel is reaching out of the uterus and grabs the finger of the actual surgeon. It's absolutely stunning. And it is that photo, Steve, that changed this photographer's view about abortion and about the sanctity of human life.
You look at how God's gifted us with so many tools, gifted surgeons, technology. So just that photo says so much. And we still choose death in so many cases. It's just
you know, baby Samuel survived that surgery and was born.
Now this is another baby, and this, I know you're going to speak to the remarkable contrast between baby Samuel and baby Rowan.
You just saw the hand of baby Samuel, and he was holding on to the surgeon's finger. This is my finger and my thumb, and I'm holding on to a 21-week-old, same age as baby Samuel. I'm holding on to this baby, baby Rowan, and this is his hand. You can see baby Rowan's hand and his fingers. Notice at the very edge of his fingers, you can see fingernails. They're almost long enough already that they need to be clipped. But unfortunately, Steve, this baby did not see the light of day. He actually did see the light of day for a brief moment. But this baby was aborted in Orlando, Florida at 21 weeks. And I got a call from his mother. His mother went to a counselor in another state, had already children, and was advised to go abort this child, that there's a place in Orlando that does later term abortions, and this was 21 weeks. So she went to this place in Orlando, Florida, and that abortion facility gave this mother drugs to induce the delivery. And she was told that you need to come back the next day, and then they would actually do the actual abortion, but it would start the dilation and the delivery process. Well, it began a little bit earlier for her, so she came back. She was having these contractions. A friend brought her back to the abortion clinic. She goes inside. She's saying that she's going to be delivering this baby soon. Again, there's no poison that was given to this baby. The one doctor in that clinic would typically poison them with some kind of poison and kill them. And they either poison them or they put a high concentration of saline solution in there, and it scalds them and they die because they're breathing it in and out. And it's like being in the Dead Sea, if you will. Yeah. And this one did not have any saline solution, did not have any toxin to kill it, and so she was having the contractions. She was calling for help. They did not help her. She described the abortion clinic facility. She said that there was old blood that was splattered on the wall. There were some towels that smelled like they were old and moldy and, you know, not washed well. And then she goes into the restroom. She then sits down in the commode and gives birth. And this is baby Rowan, still attached to the umbilical cord, falls into the bowl of the toilet. She picks up baby Rowan. She screams for help. She calls her friend who's sitting outside in the car. The friend calls 911. We have the 911 recording. And the EMS come to this abortion clinic, but the workers go out in front and they say, don't worry, everything's under control. Just somebody who was hysterical, and everything is now back under control. They then turn off their lights. They travel away, and they never come in, and baby Rowan dies. So I get a call from the mother, and this photograph is taken at a morgue in Orlando, Florida. I went there. They pulled out the place that you would lay a body in the refrigerator, and they had placed baby Rowan in a shoebox. He was about this big at 21 weeks, perfectly formed, nothing wrong. But at 21 weeks, with no help, he died. And so that is my photograph of my finger and my hand holding the hand of baby Rowan. In contrast, that same hand holding the surgeon's hand is the same exact age. Baby Samuel lived, baby Rowan died, and baby Rowan represents so many at that and even later ages that have been aborted.
I believe that was about early 2000s, right? So he would be about 20 years old.
Yeah,
now,
he would have graduated from high school, be in college, maybe even almost graduating from college, but never got a chance to celebrate his first birthday or graduate from high school. The mother absolutely regretted what she did, but by the time the delivery began, it was too late and there was nobody there to help her. This next paper, this next is a newspaper. It's actually January 23, 1973. It's the day after Roe v. Wade, and it says, top court grants women right of abortion. That's what happened on the day before, and that's when the murder began. Over 60 million, nearly 70 million children have been brutally murdered. The good news is that decision is now overturned. Roe v. Wade, Planned Parenthood versus Casey is gone. Now the work really begins, and I want to challenge you. You can't see this miracle of life and walk away and do nothing. You can't not be a voice for these people who have no voice, because even though Roe is overturned and Casey is no more, there are people in Congress that want to push abortion in all the states, and there are people in the states that want to continue this bloodshed in the prenatal genocide. I encourage you to pray, to become a voice, to get involved, to be active. You can also go to Liberty Counsel's website. We have the Truth About Abortion package, lc.org/life, lc.org/life, and learn more about the sanctity of human life and God's incredible creation. And I want to leave you with this. You did form my inward parts. You knit me together in my mother's womb. You knew me right well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret. Psalm 139, 13 through 15.
Matt, amidst all of this confusion, anger, fighting in our country today, it's been delightful to be able to focus on life and how great God is and His design for creation and what happens throughout the process of human development.
Yeah, from the moment of conception, it's an absolute miracle where you have that flash of light. And then what I was surprised when I first looked at these photos back in 1983 from Life magazine and then subsequent photos since then is how early in the development, before you even realize that you're pregnant, even at 4 weeks where the vital organs begin, the heartbeat begins at 5 to 6 weeks. Most people don't even realize that they're pregnant 5 to 6 weeks post-conception, and yet the heart is already beating. And you begin to look at the intricacies of this little person that has the fingers and toes and fingernails and eyelashes and eyebrows and rib cages and arms and legs and toes and feet. It's just a little person that's smaller than we are, but it's a unique individual, each one created uniquely in the very image of God. And when you look at this miracle of life, it is really difficult for somebody to then say, I would rather have that person killed. I think that there's too much rhetoric about abortion, hiding behind the words such as choice and reproductive freedom. And we really need to look at the humanity of abortion and the miracle of life and the brutality of abortion. And when we do that, it's really a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. There's no way that you want to kill and brutally annihilate one of these helpless individuals. Mm-hmm. The miracle of life is so incredible. And that's why we are really happy to be able to share this with you.
Yeah. For those of you at home, I think I speak for both of us in saying I really envision a nation with 0 abortions, where we honor God's kids in the womb and His process of creation and human development, rather than even think about killing them. It's just, that is really our dream and our vision. Psalm 139, verses 13 and 6 through 16 says, "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be." Well, that's it for today, but be sure to tune in next week, where we will update you on existing battles and alert you to new government overreaches. We'll tell you about the victories people of faith are winning and how you can fight back and stand up for your priceless freedom. Join us again for Freedom Alive.